The topic of data centers is a hot one here in West Michigan, also a pretty controversial one. We have reported on many proposals just in the last few months here in our area. So to talk more about this hot topic tonight, we are joined virtually by Professor Eric Nordman with the MSU Institute of Public Utilities. Professor Nordman, thank you so much for being with us here to talk about this. You are knowledgeable on this industry as a whole. We have told folks over and over about proposals here in our area. One hot topic we wanted to touch on with you is hearing mumblings of federal regulation potentially having an impact on data centers. Right now, it's very locally controlled, as I know you're familiar. What can you share with us about potential federal regulation?
Well, thanks a lot for having me. And yeah, there's been a lot of discussion at the federal level about data centers. There have been some steps to streamline permitting of data centers that could be built on federal land, for example, streamlining and proposed streamlining of environmental reviews and things like that, done through an executive order last summer. But then in the State of the Union address earlier this week, President Trump floated an idea called the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. We don't know a lot of details about that yet. I assume they're going to be forthcoming. But the idea is to protect ratepayers, the utility customers like you and me, from the large costs of building out the energy infrastructure that would be required to support these large data centers.
Yeah, really interesting how that could play a role, and it sounds potentially beneficial to folks at home. But like you said, a lot more to come on what exactly that could look like. And you mentioned they're kind of, many of the data centers that we are seeing pop up, at least be proposed here in West Michigan. From what we've heard, many center around artificial intelligence, AI, as that being sort of the powerhouse facility that's making that possible. But there are different kinds of data centers. It's obviously a very complex topic. What can you tell us just about different kinds, besides just powering AI technology?
Sure. We use data centers all the time when we send email, look at a website, stream a video on TV. So there are lots of different types of data centers, from a room in an office building that's handling email traffic to a building itself in an office park. And these new hyperscale data centers are what people are really talking about these days. These are huge facilities that use immense amounts of electricity, and they're really kind of in a category of themselves, using special chips for artificial intelligence. They require lots of electricity to run those processes, but also lots of electricity to keep those chips cool because they do get hot and become inefficient when they're doing a lot of that processing.
And as far as talking, very generically about a timeline, just in the last 6 months to a year, I mean, it's hard to keep up with how many proposals have popped up just here in West Michigan, never mind the rest of the state. But these are projects that will take, years to actually become legitimate here in our local communities. Can you talk us through it all, the timeline of, it feels like we're in this boom already and these facilities aren't even up and running that are proposed. Mm-hmm. Are we looking at sort of an additional boom to what we're seeing now, 3, 5, 10 years from now?
Yeah, it's hard to say. The timeline for building these things, a data center, is on the order of maybe 18 months once they get the permits and the land and all of that. So they can be built relatively quickly, and then they want to come online as soon as they get the chips. So the real hang up and controversy is over the electricity supply. The typical timeline, well, our energy system has been pretty much level, stagnant in terms of building new facilities, adding new capacity for the last 20 years. So we're really in a position now where these data centers are adding huge loads to the electricity grid. So we'll need to add that capacity to the system. Now, there's a line to get into the electricity grid called the interconnection queue. So that line can last 3, 4, 5 years or more. So there's kind of a mismatch between the speed at which the data centers want to come online, like a year and a half, versus 5 years or more for new energy infrastructure to be built and come online.
Interesting, very interesting. All right, we have about 1 more minute here to chat. Last question for you. I so appreciate your expertise. Michigan is not the only place that is seeing these data centers pop up or these proposals be put on the table. What, though, about our state makes it so attractive for this industry to see this continued boom?
Well, there are a number of states that have seen data centers pop up, especially in the Mid-Atlantic region. The electricity grid is divided into different regions. One is called PJM, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland, but it goes out to Chicago. And that grid is become pretty congested. So the Michigan's region, or MISO, is the area of the middle of the country that has seen less congestion. So it's a little bit easier to get on that interconnection queue potentially. It also is a little bit cooler. We have freshwater resources that can be used for cooling those chips. That's so important. And we have lots of land that's relatively cheap for these large hyperscale data centers that can take up hundreds of acres.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much for your expertise. I know this is something so many folks are interested in, so thank you so much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.